This is my last chance. Let's see if I can do this. I have this new microphone. It makes me feel like Men in Black, so that's super cool. If you didn't leave me here, we'll see if this works. I honestly, it was all working before, so I appreciate the troubleshooting help from all my friends. Hey, guys, Hayden, guys, do we have sound now? Are we good? No? I got this nice microphone. Is it working? No? Can you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Really? I did it? Oh, sweet, guys. Well, that means I'm an engineer. I figured it out, so that's cool. Thank you guys for sticking with me. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it was working before, so I don't know what happened there. That's just live action, you know what I mean? Hollywood. What are you gonna do? So, okay, so I'm gonna start from the very beginning. So basically, I just want to say welcome, hi, thank you for showing up. I think I lost a lot of people with my sound difficulties, so I will work on that for next time. I wanted to announce some big stuff that I'm doing before I get started with the other side of this. A Space Story is going to DC for 2 weeks in May. I'm really excited. The first one is for the Humans to Mars Summit, and I'm going through Stardom, which I think Stardom/Ron was on here earlier, so shout out to him. That's really cool. It's going to be everyone who's nerdy about getting humans to space is going to be in one place, and we're going to talk about how we're going to do it logistically, you know, how much fuel do we need, who are we going to send, all this stuff. It's going to be really cool. And then the next week, I actually am going to Citizens for Space Exploration, which is also in DC, which is a really cool organization that works to get, well, it's interested in space exploration and then how to bring it to the general public, which is amazing. And shout out to Joe and Stacy for that one. If you guys are living in Colorado and interested in that, I highly recommend it. It's really cool, so let me know and I can get you in touch with how to be a part of that. And it looks like Ron just joined. I just talked about you, Ron. We were talking about the Humans to Mars Summit. And I think the sound's good now. Everyone, we're good? Awesome. I am so sorry about that, you know. What are you gonna do? So, yeah, those are my two big announcements that let's go to DC. Let's see what happens. So, the big thing we're here to talk about is space. So that's kind of cool. I think the number one thing people are really interested in space is getting humans to the Mars, to Moon, all that stuff. It's going to be cool. And feel free to ask questions as we go and just make this very open. But I was going to tell you a little bit about how we're actually going to go to the Moon and then Mars and so on. So it actually starts off with the Space Launch System, which is our new rocket. Everything through this whole program is through NASA, but they have so many little subcontracts going on and stuff like that, that there's thousands of people actually working on this project, so that's really cool. So the Space Launch System is the rocket. The Saturn V, which took Apollo to the Moon, is to this day the tallest rocket that we have, and it is like the most powerful and it's huge, but the SLS is going to be even bigger. 2 feet bigger, so that's really cool. And it's gonna have more thrust, and it's gonna be really cool, and it's gonna be more adjustable for whatever we need to do. Not just, you know, go to the Moon, but we can go to Mars, we can do payloads up to the space station, that sort of stuff. Yeah, so that's gonna be really exciting. I think Boeing is the #1 person on that, and I believe they said testing is either in late 2019 or early 2020, so stay tuned for that. And that is going to be carrying the Orion capsule. So this gets us off the Earth into past orbit, and then the Orion capsule is released. And I think that's what a lot of people know the most about, is the Orion capsule. It's being designed by Lockheed Martin. And when you see like the splashdown, when the astronauts come into the ocean, then they emerge from that cone thing, that's the capsule. And this one's going to hold 4 people, 4 astronauts. And it's going to sit right on top of the SLS. And when the SLS is out of fuel, it's released and it goes off to wherever it needs to. Right now it's the Moon, but soon it'll be Mars or asteroids or wherever we decide we want to go. And then the last step is the Gateway, which is going to be kind of the next generation for the ISS, the International Space Station. So that is going to be enough living room for four astronauts, and hopefully they can connect and kind of get bigger with time. But the first one's going to be orbiting the Moon. Hopefully we'll have one, you know, between the Moon and Mars, and then between Mars and whatever asteroid we want to go to, or whatever that. So it's supposed to be a kind of like a multiple living kind of process. So those are the 3 big things to stay tuned for in terms of space exploration, is the SLS, the Orion capsule, and the Gateway. And together we're going to go to the Moon, which is super cool. Yeah. So do you guys have any questions about the moon, about space, about why the sky's blue? Whatever you guys want to talk about is fine with me. If we don't have much, I will keep talking about like the Orion Project and the Gateway and stuff like that. So I kind of will do that while we let the questions come through. The Gateway actually doesn't have anyone designing it right now, so it is NASA owned, but I think there's 6 or 7 companies that are kind of fighting to be that, whoever gets to own it. And I know Lockheed Martin has a really cool design, and I know Sierra Nevada has one that's actually inflatable, which is crazy that you can do that. So their goal is to save room, like getting it into space, you know? So, then it'll just kind of blow up and see. So I'm curious to see how they expect to do that, but that's something that they'll do. It looks like I have a question. Let's see. Hunter asked, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you set out to do? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get... if I couldn't fail, I would say, wow. I mean, my big thing right now is actually I want to be an astronaut. I don't know how many people know that. Because it's kind of one of those things that, 4-year-olds say they want to be astronauts, but, grown adults don't say that. And so it's kind of one of those things, if I knew I couldn't fail, I would be an astronaut, hands down. I want to be, one of the things I'm really interested in specifically is mining asteroids and stuff like that, and kind of seeing what's out there on that side of things. But if I couldn't fail, I'd go be an astronaut. I'd go live on the space station with Anne McClain and all them right now. Hi, Sebastian. How's it going? Yeah, so that's kind of my number one thing. I think if you guys have kind of stayed up to date with what's going on my blog, I am very interested in the Thin Blue Line. And I'm not talking about the police force, which I am very proud of, and I'm pro-police. But this is actually like the atmosphere that you can see when you're like at the right angle. You can see this blue line that is the atmosphere that is between, Earth and the vacuum of space. So it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, so that is my goals. I want to see that thin blue line. That is hopefully what I get to do. So whenever I meet an astronaut, I ask them about that, and I get all sorts of cool stories and stuff. So Ron asked what my inspiration to become an astronaut was. And, honestly, I can't tie it back to one thing that happened in my life. I know when I was in 3rd grade, I read a book called The Big Book of Space. And I fell in love with that book. And it's actually like a big book. It's like 3 feet tall. So maybe I'll post a picture of that or sometime. But I loved that book. And then it kind of like, the curiosity of space kind of came and went, It was like, oh, maybe I'll be a writer. Maybe I'll be an engineer for a construction company. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then when I got out of college, oh man, if anyone's graduated college recently, like, woo, it's crazy. You're not in the real world. Like, being in the real world is completely different. So I kind of had the existential crisis of what do I want to do with my life? And when I thought about what gets me excited and stuff like that, it is space, and being able to be one of those public figures for space, and being an astronaut, and kind of not going where no one's gone before, because we have gone, but going where everyone wants to go, just kind of be on that cutting edge, and that would be amazing. So that's a lot about me personally. And in terms of like actually being an astronaut, I did a lot of research into what it takes. First off, you have to be 5'2", which I'm 5'1 3/4. For those of you I have never met, I am very short. So I'll be working on my stretching and stuff to make sure I hit that 5'2" mark. And one of the big things is swimming. They actually have this huge swimming pool. I think actually Ty went there recently for his job, and he got pictures of it, so I might be posting a few of his pictures, just so you guys can see it. It is like this ginormous, deep swimming pool, and it carries something that is a mock-up of the space station. And then the astronauts go underwater, and they kind of act like they're in space. And that's would be so cool to do. So I have to get way better at swimming. So that's another thing I'm doing to kind of try that. I'm also trying to learn how to speak Russian. I'm really bad at it. So if anyone knows Russian, please help me out. Let's see. So Ryan said, flying in a U-2 and seeing the curvature of the Earth and the atmosphere is on my bucket list too. Yeah, if you guys like just look up pictures and videos of it. When I was actually coming up with the idea of my website, I actually had just had foot surgery and was watching a lot of TV. And I watched the Netflix series One Strange Rock, and the first episode, there was an astronaut talking about, I think it was astronaut Chris what's his name, and he was talking about it, and I was like, that's it. I want the thin blue line. That's going to be kind of my thing. Let's see. I got another really good question here. This one's from Hunter as well. What resources are there for people to get more into the space industry? Okay, so this is what I want to do. So hopefully I can help with that. I think the biggest thing, especially talking to other people, is we don't really have to focus on the kids. Like, yes, we do. That's huge. But getting kids excited for space is one of the easiest things to do. You're just like, hey, guess what? Right outside that big blue sky, there's this whole other world. Let's go see it. And kids are like, okay, let's go. So the big thing is getting, middle school, high school, college kids into space and showing them it's really cool. So I think that's kind of the huge one. Yes, thank you, Darren. That's who it was. I couldn't remember his name. But yeah, so I think that's the huge thing, is to get people to know that it's cool to talk about space. And a huge kind of argument for it is that there's so much going on here on Earth. Why are we worried about space? And I think the good argument for that is that the technology you get from space is just unparalleled from what you get from here on Earth. I think I was talking to someone, they said, what about world hunger? Like, that's huge. And I was like, yes, but we also have to figure out how to transport food for astronauts for 3 years at a time, if we go to Mars. Like, if we can figure out how to keep food good that long, we can help the people that are starving. If we can figure out how to grow food in harsh environments like Mars, we can do it here on Earth too. So it's one of those things that, let's go do the really hard stuff and then make it easy back here on Earth. And that's something that I think we really should be focused on getting people excited for. In terms of school, which is something you asked about, is people hate math and science. That's a pretty common, I hated math and science. Like, that's no secret on my end. But showing people kind of how to solve the problem and get to where they want to go, that's kind of what needs to be taught. Not necessarily like everyone needs to do differential equations by the time they're in 10th grade. That's not the direction we need to go. It's being able to ask the right questions and stuff like that. So that was a really good question. Thank you, Hunter, for that. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do here on like my website and stuff. Do you guys like this? This is my solution to the sound issue. It makes me feel like Men in Black, so that's really cool. But yeah, so that's kind of my thing about here, is saying, look, we're using centripetal acceleration for artificial gravity, and being like, well, that's actually, what that means is we're moving things really quickly so that there's a force that feels like gravity. And it's like when you spin your spoon around in chocolate milk. That's basically what we're doing, just on a huge scale. So being able to say that, so people are like, oh, I get it, not, oh, that's rocket science. Let's see. If you could travel to any other planet. Oh, man. I think actually my dream would not to go to a planet, but it would be to go to one of the moons on Jupiter, like that orbit Jupiter. I don't know. So in terms of like actual planet and extraterrestrial exploration, I'm terrified of that. I'm not gonna lie. I think I love camping, but I like camping for, a week, and we'll come home and shower and stuff like that. So I would have to really kind of get into this if I wanted to go be one of the colonizers of Mars or something like that. It's a huge, the people that are going to do that are absolutely amazing. More power to them. Like, it's absolutely, they do really cool stuff. But yeah, so I think one thing that people don't talk enough about are the moons that orbit Jupiter and Saturn. And if there is life in this solar system, my bet is it's on those moons. They're a little bit more Earth-like, and they just have more potential there. And I think, I don't know, that would be really cool to see. My favorite planet is actually Neptune, which is not very common, but Neptune's a gas planet, so, well, a lot of them are. I guess Neptune's an ice gas planet. But the ice planets are really interesting, and the gas planets, I don't think humans are ever really going to get there. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think we have the technology yet, but that's also true of Venus. Venus is a really hostile environment. So, yeah, we'll see. I think the only real planet we can go to right now is Mars, and then the moons, which would be really cool when we get to do that. Maybe an asteroid or two, on my way over. I don't know. But yeah. Let's see. What else is there to talk about? You guys are asking some really great questions. Let's see. What about, where do you guys want to go to other planets and stuff like that? Oh, let's see. Ron, bringing in the big guns. So Jim Bridenstine is actually the director of NASA. So he got elected, I think, 2017, somewhere in there. And he says is going to the moon to stay. Is that important for deep space exploration? Okay. this is kind of an age-old argument about colonizing other planets, and I think it's probably the best way to go about it. I think it would be kind of a waste of Earth's resources to keep sending people to the moon, bringing them back. I think we do need, and same for Mars, I think we do need someone that's willing to kind of be that next step and be that human that might not ever see Earth again, might not ever come home. So I think it is really important for deep space exploration. Part of it is right now, what we're doing with the space station is really cool. We're sending people up there for like 6 months to a year. They're doing some really cool biology experiments and stuff like that. And then they come back down and we learn about it. But if we want deep space exploration, we have to research what happens to human bodies for a long time in space, not just a couple months, not just for a year. And I think trying to stay on the moon, for a lifetime is a great way to start investigating what we need to do to keep humans alive. One thing that fascinates me that I need to look into more, so I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't know much about it, but there's an argument that humans, obviously their body changes when they're in zero gravity and stuff like that, but how much, if those humans never plan on coming back to Earth, how much do we need to worry about those changes? And I thought that was a really interesting question. Like, for example, muscle atrophy, huge issue, right? Like, if you go to space, you have to work out 2 hours a day to keep your muscle. But if you never plan on coming back to Earth, you don't need the muscle for the gravity. That was kind of the argument, and then to look deeper into it. And I don't know how true that is, but it would be interesting to see, and especially like, if the gravity is different on the moon, maybe they don't have to work out for 2 hours or whatever. So it's definitely a lot going on there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. My big question to everyone else is, would you go colonize another planet? Would you go colonize Mars? Would you go to the moon to stay, to live there? A lot of people are like, yeah, and then they're like, maybe not. Like, it's kind of scary. And then with that, a lot of people are saying, yeah, if I get to be the first one. If you don't get to be the first one, would you still do it? You know what I mean? Let's see, I've got 2 good questions here. 1 second. Here, this is from Hunter. What interesting research is being done by countries or universities for space tech survivability right now that we should know about? Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. Basically everything. Everything is really important that what we're doing. I'd say, I just listened to a girl from MIT who, I think it was her PhD. She worked on these like tiles that like assemble in anti-gravity, and they just like make whatever you need to, and that's huge. That'll help us so much. There's another guy that's working on making urine drinkable for astronauts in the future. I'm gonna do kind of a plug right here and say my school, the school I went to get my bachelor's at is Colorado School of Mines, and they're doing a new space resources program, and I'm gonna be starting it in August. So that's gonna be super fun, and that's gonna be huge. It's gonna be how to sustain humans not using Earth's resources, but using space's resources, so that we don't have to keep, draining the Earth just to go somewhere else. It's going to be really cool. So that's basically, just go look it up. Just go look up something and stick with it, and you will find the most amazing stuff you can find in countries and universities and stuff like that. I could go on that one a long time. Like, we should do another little talk about that one. But let's see. And Ty said, what do you think about terraforming? Okay. So let's see, I think, Ty, if I'm not mistaken, you're talking about like making Earth's atmosphere breathable and stuff like that, and making it kind of like a second Earth. And I think it's another one I don't know a lot about. I'll definitely look into it more for you guys. I'll write a little article about it. But I think that's huge. Like, if we can figure out how to do that, it opens up just a whole solar system's possibility, I guess, because it's bigger than just our world. But I think it'd be really cool, because then we could kind of, one of the big issues here is climate change and global warming, and being able to say, oh, well, my lights just went off. That's cool. We got Earth back, or we got Mars back to a place where humans can live. We can do that with Earth too. We can definitely start rebuilding it and stuff like that. So if we can do that, that would be huge. Hi, Blake. How's it going? It's been a while. I am going to see if I can get my light back on. Hold on. I'll keep talking. Okay. There we go. Ooh, okay. Huh? Okay, so yeah, that's a lot of really great questions going on here. I am going to keep working through all my technical difficulties. You guys have been amazing. If you haven't been here, this nice little microphone was because I couldn't get the sound to work for the first 10 minutes, so that was super fun, and I wasn't sweating at all. It was fine. So yeah, let's see, what else can we talk about? In terms of terraforming a little bit more, there's a lot of work being done on that, like I said, because it's one of those that affects us on other planets and then here on Earth. It would be life-changing, honestly, if we could figure out how to kind of mitigate climate change here. It'd be really cool. And there's a lot of argument about climate change if we want to go down that route. I don't know how far down we want to go, but just kind of slowing it down would be a lot help for the humans to, not kill ourselves and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. Let's see. Got another question. Hunter, you're killing it with these questions. Okay, outside of SpaceX and Blue Origin, what are some private companies that work in space making huge strides? Okay. Oh, man. There's so many of them, I can tell you that much. SpaceX and Blue Origin are really cool because they're looking at doing what NASA's doing on a commercial scale. And one thing that really bugs me is when people say SpaceX is better than NASA, and it's like, no. I personally don't believe that. I think it should be SpaceX is helping NASA so much, and NASA is helping SpaceX so much. It's kind of like, you can't really say one's better than the other because NASA is one of the major fundings of SpaceX. So, and then SpaceX is gonna, once they get their rockets up and going, they're gonna help NASA make huge strides. So it really needs to be thought more about, like, NASA's the one doing the research and the deep space and the stuff that it's hard to find money in, so they get the government to fund them, and then SpaceX and Blue Origin come in and do the commercialized, they speed up the process, which people are like, but they're so much faster. It's like, yeah, exactly, they are. And that's the point, is that NASA figured out how to do it, and then we go from there. But anyways, that's a whole nother rant. I've got a lot of questions coming in. So in terms of other private companies, I think people should really be looking at Virgin Galactic. I think Ball we're gonna see some stuff from Ball and Sierra Nevada coming up. Those are some bigger names. And then there's small companies too. I know Honeybee Robotics is where I interned, and they're doing amazing work. There's a new one in Littleton called Deep Space, and if you can look them up, they do amazing stuff as well. So just, they're everywhere, honestly, and a huge part of it is universities and stuff too. And there's chemical companies that are working on stuff that aren't space companies, but they're doing really cool space stuff. So there's a lot of names I could throw out there. Let's see. Do you think learning how to terraform could help us with climate problems we have here? Yes, I do. That is, I think, the number one reason we should be trying to terraform other planets is to figure out how to save Earth. I think that is, like, the way to fund it. Yes, so I do agree, Darren, yeah. Okay. Oh, man, okay. Honestly, I don't know. In terms of what Ron's asking about which moon would be most likely to harbor life, I couldn't tell you, honestly. Like I said, I'd have to do some more research. We can look into it. I'll write a whole blog about it for you, okay, Ron? I'll look into it. But I think something in my gut tells me that Jupiter, I don't know why, but I think it's one of the moons of Jupiter has a better chance of harboring life. I think it's partially just because of all the research that we have from there and just kind of what we have seen. There's a lot of, like, stuff going on there. So I just want to say hi, Grant. Hi, Kinsley. Thanks for joining us. I got another question. All right, Hunter. What a question for the space community that you would like answer. What's a question? Oh, okay. Wow. Coming at me with these hard questions. I think the biggest thing is, like, I guess what one question I want answered for space would be, I'm very curious about intelligent life elsewhere, or life in general. I think it would tell us a lot about how life is formed, and if we do need methane, and all these other huge questions. So I'm really excited to see that get answered. Let's see. In general, I think the biggest thing is just, it doesn't matter what the answer is as long as we keep asking questions, if that makes sense. Just keep asking and searching for that answer, and that's what's going to keep us going forward and stuff like that. So that's kind of, I guess, the best way to think about that. But yeah, human life would be so cool. Or not human life, extraterrestrial life. That'd be amazing. As long as it doesn't go, like, aliens come and kill us all. That'd be really cool. So let's not have that happen. But yeah, let's see. You guys have a lot of topics that I should be researching for my website in the future, so stay tuned on there, and I'll be answering some of these questions that you guys have asked me that I'm like, I can give you my best guess, but and that's kind of a little disclaimer I want to give you guys, is that I do not know everything about space. So when you guys ask me questions, some of the times I just go look it up, and I'm like, oh, I can like read through stuff really quickly now. I'm very good at like gathering the information, and I can explain it to you. But a lot of the times I don't know either. So just keep asking questions. Don't be afraid to go look it up yourself, and keep exploring about that. Let's see. Oh, one more question. What do we got? I'm guessing it's Hunter. Oh, no, it doesn't. It's Kinsley. Hi, Kinsley. How does one find Orion's belt? Oh, that was a great question. I am not an astrologer. Astrologist? There we go. Astrologer. Astrologist. I've actually been looking into telescopes and stuff like that. But thanks, Ron. But Orion is probably one of my favorite constellations, because it was the first one that I could find, other than the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, when I was like 8 years old. And thank you, astronomer. When I was 8 years old, and I remember camping, and my friend's mom was the one that pointed it out to me. It's 3 stars. It goes dot dot dot. It's like 1, 2, 3, and it's pretty. We'll go out sometime and I'll show you, because it's kind of not usually like super high or super low in the sky. It's usually kind of middle, and it's those 3 dots. And yeah, I'll look into more about astrology, all that good stuff. Maybe I'll get a telescope if I can afford one. But where do you see a space story in 5 years? Oh my lord, what a question. Let's see. In a space story is just kind of my own little brainchild. So I'm really kind of using it to kind of be a jumping point. It's kind of like my space story. You know what I mean? Not a space story, my space story. So I think in 5 years, it'd be really cool to see it as kind of like, honestly, like a storybook a little bit, and something that you can watch kind of each steps in my life, and then as well as space, kind of come together. In 5 years, I hope to be working on actual missions and stuff for NASA. You know, like I said, maybe an astronaut. I don't want to say that one too loudly, but yeah, it would be really cool if a space story was just kind of my place to document all the really cool stuff that I hope I get to do in my future. Okay. Which other countries are trying to break? Oh, great question. Okay. So actually, this is kind of plays into space politics a little bit, and it's something I'm very interested in, which is interesting because I hate politics, but the United States, we're kind of like the main one. We're the one that went to the moon. We're the driving force. And then obviously Russia has a very strong program. ESA is the European Space Agency, and that one's it's coming up pretty big too, because it's basically a lot of European countries, and Italy has one as well that works closely with ESA, but they're separate, and that one's coming up pretty quick. JAXA is huge. That's the Japan's version of NASA. That one's coming up, and I think China is the other really big one. And I know Australia and New Zealand just launched their own, like, within the last 2 years. Very new. And I know we're sending people over from the US to go work in Australia to help them build it. So there's a lot of countries that are trying to get into this right now. And NASA, the US, I think our goal should be the ones that's still up and coming, but not the ones that, like, have to compete. The Red Scare is over, guys. We don't need to go into this, like, Cold War, we have to beat the Russians thing. We should really be working as a team to do this. So I'm going to try to fly through these next few questions here. What is the first step to becoming an astronaut? Do they hold walking tryouts? Oh, I wish they did, because I would be there in a onesie, ready to go. I honestly don't know what the first steps are. I'm just doing my best. I am getting my face out there. I am trying to be an advocate for space. That's the big thing. Astronauts have to be really, really fit. All astronauts have to speak Russian and English right now, so I'm trying to learn Russian. I'm working on learning how to swim. I know how to swim, but I'm not, like, the world's best swimmer, so I'm, like, working on that. Let's see. I think networking, you have to have 3 years of experience on, like, a related mission, which would be, like, working on rockets or the ISS or something like that. So that's kind of what I see in my future, and anyone else that wants to be an astronaut. Let's see. I've got a couple more here. Hi, Bree. It's good to see you. Let's see here. I do not know how to speak Russian. I wish I did. I think I know 3 letters for sure right now, and that's about it. I'm working on it. I'm watching all the YouTube videos. What do you think about other companies competing, like Virgin Galactic, SpaceX, and more? That's huge. I think that's really important for space, is to have this competition. And it's a friendly competition. It's like let's see who did better on the test, not the I'm gonna beat you at this test. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of it's a group effort. The competition was what drives it. And the ones you noted here are actually, except for Boeing, Virgin Galactic, and SpaceX, they're mostly private companies, which means they're looking at how to get money out of this and how to go faster and produce more and that sort of thing. And that's really important to get on to the next stage for everything. Let's see, what else we got here? What would I do on the ISS? Okay, so the ISS is the space station. It has like 6 astronauts on it. I think right now it has 6. And the big thing they do is biological experiments, and that would be so cool to me. Actually, I got this little like sync preview, and I saw their schedule, like the schedule for astronauts, and their days are so stacked. It's like a 2-hour block to work out, and then it's like, work on this experiment, work on this experiment, work on this experiment, sleep. Like, that's what their schedule is, and it's absolutely insane, but I think that'd be so cool. They do a lot of, like, their self, like, they track, you know, their blood and all that sort of stuff, but they also do stuff for, you know, plants. I know there's mice on the space station, and they run the experiments there. Any kind of experiment on the space station, they're the scientists behind it, so they're, like, space scientists, which is really cool. I would like to do that, is basically what I'm saying, is I'd like to be a space scientist. Do you see a global space agency in the near future? Ooh, that's a good question. I think, honestly, I don't personally see it in the very near future. I think humans have yet to figure out how to get along and do that. So I hope we figure it out soon. And maybe, you know, a global space agency would be really cool. I mean, I might be a little biased, but I think the US would be the best place to hold it, because we are the one with the most experience right now, and the most kind of going into our space funding. But actually, realistically, it would make more sense to have if we did have a global space agency, it would be to have it along the equator, which a lot of people don't think about it, but in terms of orbital mechanics, if you have it along the equator, that's the fastest way to get into orbit. You've got the mass behind the Earth helping you out and that whole thing. So Africa is, actually going back to that other question, Africa is one of the countries that is actually having an up-and-coming space presence. Not very big yet, but it is up-and-coming. I think Egypt is trying, and a few other countries within Africa. So if we did want to do a global thing, I would almost say that starting, you know, from scratch in Africa, if we can get our humans to calm down and work together, might be an actual option. I don't know. Kind of, you know, like I said, I'm not the one working for NASA. I don't know what all the politics there are, but that would be really cool if we could figure out how to do that. Yeah, so that's a really good question too. I hope we can. I think one of the things I say is that humans going to space is a humanity thing, not a country thing. So if we can, that would be really cool. Let's see, what are my thoughts on deep space travel? Oh man, I hope it's true. I would really love to do the whole Millennium Falcon thing. That would be really cool. I don't know the science behind it. I know maybe it's possible. I don't know if time travel is actually a thing. But if it is, I think that's the only way we would be able to do deep space exploration. And that being said, if we were to do time travel, those astronauts would not be coming home. That would be their new their new life goal would be to go explore. So I think that'd be something. I don't think it's in the near future, but I hope it's possible. We'll see. I have eaten freeze-dried ice cream sandwiches, which you can get for like $4 at any space thing. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm not sure if I could be an astronaut like on Mars, is because I don't think I could eat deep, like freeze-dried food for my entire life. So hopefully when they figure out how to have like McDonald's on Mars, I'm there. Let's do that. Let's see. What do you think of the US starting a space-focused branch of the military? Yeah, that's a huge hot topic, and I hope people realize that this isn't necessarily a political thing, and space itself is not a political thing. Like, it is, but it really isn't, because both the left and the right have both made huge strides in the space community. Like, it's not really a competition. The more we treat it like a competition, the worse we're gonna do, you know, because one side's always gonna win and lose. But anyways, I think the Space Force is a great idea, honestly. I would be worried about what kind of message it sends to other countries, but I think it needs to happen, so it should happen now. And if we can send the message to the companies of the other countries that we're here to help, that would be awesome. Okay, let's see. You guys are killing me with the questions. This is awesome. Okay, let's see. where do you think the Space Force headquarters should be located? I think I am here in Colorado Springs, and I think this is a lovely location for it. I know, so there's 6 places. One is Huntsville, Alabama. One is Vandenberg, California, and the other 4 are here in Colorado. One's at Buckley in Denver, and the 3, Peterson, Schriever, and NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain. They're all in the Springs. So statistically speaking, I think it'll be here in the Springs. It's where the majority of the space presence for the military is already, so that kind of makes it easy. I personally think it should be Cheyenne Mountain because Cheyenne Mountain's super cool, and it's got right now it's got the capability to support a brand new program like this. So that's my kind of personal opinion. I also heard rumors that Alabama might actually happen, even though it's not like, you know, there's 4 Colorado and 1 Alabama. Alabama's looking pretty good too, so we'll see what happens there. If I was given the opportunity, where would you work? NASA, SpaceX, or Boeing? I personally would rather work for NASA, I think. There's a lot of reasons behind all that. I think my dream company would be Ball Aerospace. I think Ball's super cool, so if anyone from Ball can hear me, hi. I think that'd be really cool. But there's a lot kind of space politics within the companies, so it'd be interesting. Would I like to go to the moon or Mars first? Personally, I will go to the moon. Mars is still kind of too far out there for me. I do like the comfort of my lovely apartment and stuff like that, so I don't know how up to Mars I'd be, because it'd be, you know, multiple years, probably 3 to 5 years maybe, if not more. So I think I'd kind of have to play and see how it goes. Personally, I would really like to work on the space station or in the first Gateway, because the Gateway is going to be the new space station. It's the next generation of the ISS. And it would be doing biological experiments too, and that's what I would love to do that. So I would really love to work on the first working Gateway. That would be kind of my dream. And then the Gateway should be orbiting the moon, so maybe, you know, if I got to go to the moon too, I wouldn't complain too much. I think, like, was it you? You might have actually already asked me about the Space Symposium, and I think I got so many questions at that time. I'd love to talk about that for a second. The Space Symposium happened last month, still this month, okay, the beginning of this month, and it was here in Colorado Springs, and it was like a week of space nerds, and it was amazing. And if you get the chance to go, please go. It was absolutely, like, you learned so much, and I met so many people. If you guys were there, I was the one on the scooter, so I'm off the scooter now, I'm walking. But yeah, it was really cool, and I know the Space Foundation is the one that puts it on, and if you get the chance, you get to volunteer for them for 2 shifts, and then you get free access for the rest of the time. So if you want to go, but you can't spend $2,000 on a Space Symposium ticket, do it that way. Go be a volunteer. Plus, go volunteer anyways. It's good, you know. Okay, so do you think we should start modeling spacesuits to look like Buzz Lightyear? That's a great question. I don't know. I think Buzz Lightyear kind of had it right. You know what I mean? Having the wings and the... I know that there's the next generation of spacesuits coming up. And so the emus are what are being used currently, and they're for the 1980s. So they're old and they're breaking, and that's why we actually had the all-women spacewalk fiasco, was because we actually are losing a lot of emus. That they're called emus, extra motor. I'm gonna have to look that one up, but the acronym is emus. Hi Cameron. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of possibility for spacesuits to start getting really cool, and I think, you know, Buzz Lightyear might be the way to go. What happens at the ISS after the Gateway? Okay, great question. There's a lot of talk about that. A lot of people want to turn it commercial so that you can actually travel and go kind of like tour the ISS and go, you know, make it a museum of the first out of orbit space museum. I don't know. I think that'd be really interesting. It could be commercialized where companies like not NASA, SpaceX, Lockheed, and the big companies that are trying to do some really cool stuff, they just pay for like a slot there, and then they get to do their own experiments and stuff like that. Or we might just keep using it as is. It's breaking, but you know, if we can start fixing it, the government might want to keep using it. Thank you, emus. Thank you, Darren. Extravehicular mobility unit. Thank you. I need to work on my acronyms. But yeah, that's what it is. Those are the big spacesuits that when they're like out in space doing the spacewalks with the big helmet and that's an emu. Okay, will I be there next year? I think, Hunter, you're talking about the Space Symposium, and with every ounce of my being, I will try to be there next year. It was absolutely amazing. So hopefully I will be there next year, and I hope to see all of you guys. I'll volunteer probably. So my company sent me this time. I'll probably have to volunteer to get in next time, but that's okay. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, so Space Symposium, highly recommend that. there's a lot to talk about with that. There's a lot of panels that were really cool to go to. I talked about one on my blog, and sorry, Blake, have you sent your name on any NASA spacecraft? I have not, but I definitely should do that. I actually, little secret to everyone, I did apply already for the astronaut program. I think they're doing their next pick in 2020. My game plan is just to keep sending them applications until they finally accept me. So we'll see how that goes. So if that counts, I've not sent my name on any NASA spacecraft yet. Let's see, a chain of gateways to various locations. Would they all be manned by 24/7? Okay, so that's actually a really good question. One of the big things we're working on right now is to figure out how to have unmanned spacecrafts, like Blake, or excuse me, Blake just gave me a thumbs up, like the ISS and stuff like that. We don't have that yet. We do have to have someone on the ISS at all times right now, and or it just kind of shuts down, you know? So I think the goal is to have that be a thing, that it can be unmanned. Hopefully we can figure that out. I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I can't imagine having that many gateways out there. It would be those people aren't coming home. You know what I mean? That would be their new home. So it'd be a different kind of world we live in. It'd be interesting to see what happens. But what do you think about the companies competing right now? Good question. It's very important. We need to have that competition. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am pro-capitalism. I think competition is what kind of is driving us to these next stages of the cutting edge technology and that stuff. I think it's really important. But like I said, the number one thing is that competition, there's different levels of competition, and to have the competition that we need to beat them, which is what got us, it's what got us to the moon. We beat Russia, that is what got us to the moon, but I think that kind of mindset needs to change. And like I said, it's not SpaceX versus NASA, it's not Lockheed versus Boeing, it's not that anymore. It shouldn't be, at least in my mind. So that's huge. And I think as we learn what we need to do in space and how to make money in space, it's going to get bigger. I honestly foresee that. And I think the really important thing would be to have like a low Earth orbit economy. So like we have this own kind of civilization, not civilization, but you know, like all the companies are kind of in low Earth orbit, and that would be a low Earth orbit economy, and that would be really cool to see in the next maybe 10 years. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Do you think AI would be the way to go? I think AI is super cool. I also think that we have not figured it out quite yet enough. I know one guy he does AI for NASA. Really cool guy. And if I get the chance, I'll try to he lives in DC, so maybe when I'm in DC, I can kind of get him to talk to us about it a little bit more. So I don't know what kind of stuff we're seeing in AI, but I think it's a definite possibility. Hopefully, I think that'd be a great way to go, honestly. I think if we can really, you know, like the sci-fi movies where like the robots talk to you like they're your best friend, like that would be really good. Like I think that'd be really cool to do. Definitely something I don't know enough about though, so we'd have to talk about it more. But hopefully that would be a good option. As of right now, as it stands, robotics is the kind of how we're doing all this stuff now, you know, with the rovers on Mars and the not millions, probably close to hundreds of explorations we have in the solar system. They're all robots, you know, they're all satellites and drones and stuff like that. So, yes, that is true. All the sci-fi movies tell us that machines could take over, so I'd be very curious to see how exactly that goes. If we can figure out like an override switch, I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, I think robots, we definitely, similar to how we have to all cooperate together, we definitely need the help of robots and maybe AI to try to do this whole space thing. Yep. So that is a lot of space talk. You guys are just as nerdy as me, and I love it very much. Are there any other kind of like last minute questions? One of the things I did want to talk about was more of the deep space missions, but that's definitely something we could talk about next time. Deep space being like anything past the moon, pretty much. We have Lucy is going to asteroids in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. We have New Horizons and Voyager, which are all around Pluto right now. If you guys haven't looked into Cassini, I recommend looking into that one. It's super cool. That was what was giving us all the pictures of Saturn, and I think they crashed into Saturn in 2017, I want to say, maybe somewhere in there. So that one's officially a dead mission, but we got a lot of really cool pictures and information from Cassini. So go look up Cassini. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a lot of stuff to talk about, and there's definitely more we can talk about. I was kind of thinking for my next kind of live video, we would do one on kind of what we need to see from us as the U.S. and NASA and that sort of stuff for the Apollo mission, like what we did and what we need to see now, which I talked a lot about it now. It's a different mindset. But like I said, my big thing is space advocacy. We need kids and everyone to just realize how cool space is. Like, it's so cool, guys. You have no idea. And so the more we like talk about that, the bigger it becomes and the more close to Apollo we get and having that success again. It looks like I got one more question. What's your number one snack that you would have to survive for 3+ years in space? Oh my lord. Snack-wise, it would probably actually have to be Cheetos. I kind of have a soft spot for Cheetos. I don't eat them all the time, but when I do, I could go through an entire bag. The issue is I don't know how Cheeto dust would interact in, like, you know, space and, like, dirty the equipment and stuff, so I might have to look into that. Or mac and cheese. I'm sure a lot of you guys that knew me in college, I did macaroni Mondays every Monday. I do like mac and cheese, so if that's all I could eat, I'd probably be okay. Regular. Sorry, Tyler. I like regular and I like puffs. I don't do the flaming hot too much. I love all these questions about Cheetos. Space Cheetos. Maybe I have something there. Cool. So yeah, Cheetos in space. That's the way to go. Yeah. All right. Well, I think, like I said, next time I really want to talk about kind of the space politics behind what we're doing and the Apollo mission. Like I said, stay tuned. For those of you that weren't here at the beginning, I'm going to DC for 2 weeks, 2 conferences. One is Humans to Mars and one is Citizens for Space Exploration. There's going to be a ton of panels and a lot of information, and I will bring back what I can. So yeah, that's really exciting. I will be talking a lot about that. Go to my website. Please go to my website and comment and stuff like that. It's aspacestory.com. Very easy to remember. And I need comments from you guys. I need to know what you guys want to see in the future, what you guys like, what you guys are like, no one really cares about emus or Cheetos or whatever. So yeah, stay interactive, telling me what you want. Thank you for everyone that helped me with the sound problem earlier. Sorry about that. I promise it won't happen again. I'll work on that. Yeah, so I guess with that being said, if there's no last questions, I think I am going to sign off. You guys feel free to message me questions and do whatever your space hearts want. But yeah, I really appreciate all the support on this. This went more amazing than I could have imagined. So thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.